Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and I am back with another album review. If you are not familiar with my channel, please subscribe. I do a bunch of reviews. I do album reviews, I do do I do clothing reviews? I'm not sure. I just do a bunch of stuff. I also do quite a lot of videos on my vinyl records and just music in general. If you want to have a little taste, and just press that link up there, that'll take you to a playlist of my record/music videos. So I have a full-on record collection video. I have about 50 records at the moment. I've done an 80 Aliens album review before, so if you want to go watch that, please press up there. I'm here with Nas's Illmatic, and I'm going to review this album at the best of my ability. So here I have the vinyl record. We'll take a closer look at the vinyl record in a moment, but let's just get into a little bit of info if you're not familiar with this album. So this album was released 19th of April 1994 by Columbia Records. This was Nas's debut album, and in my opinion, his best album. Nas was only 20 years old at the time, and you may be thinking wow, 20 years old, that's super young, but when you think about it, most of the rappers at this time were releasing albums when they were really young. Obviously Mobb Deep, I think they were 19 when they released the infamous. Tupac was 21 when he when he released Tupacalypse, and Ice Cube was I think 18 when he released Straight Outta Compton. Yeah, so rappers tend to release albums when they're really young. So the producers on this album are DJ Premier. He is also part of Gangstar. We also have Pete Rock from Mecca and the Soul Brother with CL Smooth. Mecca and the Soul Brother is such a good album. There's literally zero skips on that. I have the CD, but I do not have the record. We also have Q-Tip from one of my favorites, Tribe Called Quest. We also have Large Professor, who I have heard of before, but I'm not so familiar with him. And we also have, I believe, LES. I think that's how you pronounce it. So at the time, West Coast were winning over the East Coast with Dr. Dre's G-Funk, and he had Eazy-E, he had Ice Cube. So really, Death Row was really Death Row and the West Side were really overpowering the East Side, and then out comes, Wu-Tang, Nas and Biggie, and they really put East Coast up in there. And then obviously in the future we have Jay-Z and people like that. The beats are honestly produced so well on this album. They're really simple. Most of them are loops, just looped. Really simple, but really effective. Just before we get into the songs and the review itself, we will take a closer look at the vinyl. So let's do that. So guys, here is the vinyl record. I'm sure most of you have seen this cover art before. I definitely did, even before I'd listened to the album. Yeah, the cover art's really iconic. The Illmatic album is a big part of hip hop, so I'm sure most of you have seen it, and most of the new rappers of this day probably loved Nas. They actually kept this sort of same background all up into I think it's Nostradamus or Nostradamus. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I haven't listened to the album yet, but I've listened to It Was Written in I Am, and I have the CDs. So here we have Nas's It Was Written. This is his second album, and in my opinion his second best. This one, as you can see, is exactly the same background as this, but we just have an older sort of modern at that time sort of Nas. It's all sort of the same, you have the Nas logo, and then you have the album name. You have Illmatic. The Nas, the font is very different, and I think they kept this for I Am, which is his third album. Here we again have the same background with a mummified King Tutankhamun looking Nas. We have that logo there and the album name. This album is also pretty good, obviously not his best. It was his third release, and I would have to say his third best. And then obviously Nostradamus, where Nas is wearing a hood. I haven't actually listened to that album yet, and I have to. I've heard a lot of people say that it's quite bad. Okay, let's have a little look on the back. So here we have the track list. The album is quite short. I think it's only got 9 songs, I believe. It's quite a short album, so that's I guess one con. It's quite a short album. It would have been good if it was a little longer. The track list, every single song is honestly, there's no skips in this album. My least favorite would probably be One Time for Your Mind. It's my least favorite, but it's still such a good song. Okay, let's take a look inside. So there's not much to this album. It's literally just the record cover and the record itself. So here we have again sort of the track list and who performs it, who produces it. We have Nas sitting on a bench, and I think that's the single cover for The World Is Yours, for the single 7-inch or 12-inch cover art, I believe. Then on the back here we have the It Ain't Hard to Tell single cover. Then here we have the shout outs, you know, I'm guessing, you know, my mum, my brother Jungle. Here we have the rest in peace and memory of, I'm guessing, Nas's friends. Here we have a big picture of them. I think, yeah, Nas was from Queens, I'm guessing that's somewhere in Queens. I really like this little sort of cover. You know, you have all these photos and the shout outs, and you know, in the 80 Aliens one, obviously we had the comics. If you haven't seen the 80 Aliens video yet, please go watch it. But yeah, we had the comics, so that was a little more interesting, but this is like almost as interesting as it is. So one con about this is that the vinyl cover is not protective. I've had to buy myself these protective sleeves. This really keeps your record safe. Really recommend you get them. As you can see, the vinyl is not clear, and I regret it so much. I really wanted the clear vinyl, but as you can see, it's only one LP, one disc, so it's sort of easier to listen to. It's really easy because I don't have to get up and change the vinyl every now and then. So like I said, I really wish I got the clear vinyl, but honestly I don't really mind because the album itself is just so good. I was going to get the CD, but I went to Reckless Records in London. This was about the same time that I got my Ice Cube It Was a Good Day single. I didn't actually film anything on that because I only got 2 records. I think this was my 2nd record actually. So yeah, that's the vinyl. Mostly pros. The only cons are that it's relatively short, the vinyl sleeves aren't protective, and it's not the clear vinyl. But yeah, that's literally it. Honestly, this vinyl is amazing. I'm really happy that I bought this, and let's just get into the review itself. Okay, so now that we have had a look at the vinyl, let's get into the songs. So the first song that I want to talk about is New York State of Mind, which was produced by DJ Premier. He obviously produces for Gangstar, and I really love Gangstar's music. So the song starts off with like a nice drum beat with a little guitar note repeating over and over again, and slowly in comes like really deep and heavy bass line, slowly starts to fade in, and then once it gets into the rapping, the guitar ends and it's just that heavy bass line and the drums, and it works so well together, and it is just perfect. Again, it is literally just a loop of a bass line and some drums, and I think there's like a piano chord. I'm not sure what the chord is, but it repeats every single bar, and it's just so perfectly done that it just sounds amazing. It's so simple, but like, again, really effective. Nas shows like really crazy lyricism in this album, and I think that's like one of the best parts about Nas, you know, his lyricism is amazing. But yeah, New York State of Mind is definitely one of the best songs on this album. It's definitely one of my favorites. The next song after this is Life's a B. We're keeping it PG.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
It was produced by LES, the producer who I'm not that familiar with, who I haven't heard of like before I listened to this album. I believe it was Nas's 3rd single, and it is featuring a rapper called AZ. Towards the end, it also features Nas's father doing a trumpet solo. His dad is a trumpet player. I'm not sure if he's famous. He probably is famous, but yeah. This has a really catchy hook. It's like, it's always in my head, in the back of my head, like, and it was always, I think when I first started listening to it, it was probably my favorite song. It's a really like nice beat that's really like melodic and sort of calming, but it's really different compared to what they're like rapping about. But yeah, the beat is amazing. It's really complex. There's a lot of stuff going on. I literally can't, I'm not sure what instruments are in it. Obviously the trumpet and maybe like some strings, maybe some piano, but yeah, honestly, Life's a Beat is such a good song. And I always heard the remix, sort of remixed with You Know How We Do It's Ice Cube by Ice Cube, that instrumental and obviously the lyrics from this. And I thought like, yo, this is so cool. And then I always wondered what that song was, and then I finally listened to this album and learned what the song was, and I loved it so much. The next song is The World Is Yours, my favorite hook on this album, maybe even my favorite hook of all time. The song itself is produced by Pete Rock, and he also sings the deep parts of the hook. Pete Rock, obviously, such a good producer. You can tell from Mecca and the Soul Brother, and I think it's the main ingredient, and also All Sold Out, which was also really good. Pete Rock, CL Smooth is just such a deadly combination. They're so good together. They Reminisce Over You is such a good song. I love that song so much. You know, again, it's really jazzy, just like this this song. I believe this was his 4th single. Definitely my favorite song from this album. It's always been my favorite song. It's amazing producing from Pete Rock. It is easily one of the coolest sort of jazz piano samples on a hip hop song, and it's actually from like a 5-second like snippet of a song called I Love Music by, I think it's Ahmad Jamal. I'm guessing Pete Rock maybe used to listen to him when he was younger. But literally it's a 5-second snippet, and it's one ending combined with the next sort of like start of the verse, and he put it together and it is just so cool, so simple, and he just loops that and it is so cool. My favorite things about this song is probably the hook. I can actually play the piano to this song, not very well, but I know like kind of how to play it. I'll just play it right now. Obviously it doesn't sound as good as the song because I don't really know how to play it accurately, but that is just like, I do play instruments, so I do understand, you know, music. I play the bass and the drums as well. So yeah, that is probably my favorite sample of all time, and as soon as I heard it I was like, yeah, I want to learn this. This is so cool. We're now jumping to towards the end, One Love by Nas, produced by Q-Tip from A Tribe Called Quest. This is his final single release, and as soon as you listen to the song, you really hear a nice upright double bass line. I play the double bass myself. I'll sometime learn how to play this song, but if you need evidence that I play the double bass, here you go. But yeah, the bass has got a really nice hollow sort of that wooden sound of like jazz. And obviously it's just similar to most of the Tribe Called Quest, especially the Low End Theory. It's really similar to, you know, Excursions, and it's really similar to Bugging Out as well. Tribe Called Quest, especially the Low End Theory, is just full of these jazzy, like really cool sort of upright bass lines. And yeah, definitely give the Low End Theory a listen to. I might even do an album review on that sometime. Q-Tip, he really produced this song and made it sound like a Tribe Called Quest song. I would have really loved to hear him and maybe even Five Dog rap over it. But obviously Q-Tip does sing the hook. I'm not a big fan of the hook. I got a little bit annoyed of it because it's just one love just repeated over and over again, but it's a pretty cool hook. So in the song, Nas is, I believe, writing a letter to one of his like friends who was arrested and is in jail. It might even be like a phone call, because obviously at the start he says, you know, what's up kids, I know it's hard and tough doing your bid. And I believe doing your bid means going to prison and like serving a prison sentence. And also one of the second lines is, when the cops came, you should have slid to my crib. So yeah, obviously he's talking to one of his mates in jail, and I really like that sort of concept of the song, and I love those sort of storytelling songs. The beat definitely stands out because it is different to most of them. Obviously we have the upright bass, and so we are now going to move on to the last song. We have It Ain't Hard to Tell, produced by Large Professor. This was following the release, single release of Halftime. It actually samples Human Nature by Michael Jackson, and I love Michael Jackson. I literally have his record like up there. Michael Jackson is so good. Yeah, so Human Nature, they used the sort of the start, I'm guessing violins at the verse, on the verses. And what's really cool about this song is that it's different. It's not a full loop. We have a different beat for the chorus, for the hook, and then we have a different beat for the verse, and it's so melodic and it's so smooth. The producing is honestly amazing. It might be the best on this album. Obviously, as I said, you know, there's different stuff. It's not just a big loop. The lyricism in this song is crazy. Obviously, literally some of the first verses, I'm gonna have to read this because I can't remember. He says, my mic check is life or death, breathing a sniper's breath, which basically means that snipers have to take like a breath so they can aim like steadily. So that suggests that as an MC, Nas needs that focus and that discipline to really, I don't know, get that word across or really like get those words out. Also, breathing a sniper's breath could also mean that you need breath control, Obviously for a sniper, the breath control is to hold in your breath, and for a rapper, the breath control is to, as you're rapping, to take breaths in between. And then again, it could also mean that his words are like bullets of a sniper. So there's just so many explanations on this just one verse. So that was just like a really quick sort of explanation of most of the best songs on the album. I think I did 5 songs there, and I believe that the album is only about 9 songs. Easily a 10 out of 10 album, and I recommend it to everyone. It's such a iconic album to hip hop. Yeah, if you are wanting to get into old school hip hop, or you want to like sort of expand your like taste of old school hip hop, like me when I was only listening to Ice Cube, then please listen to Nas, because that's a great way to sort of put yourself more deeply into that hip hop old school hip hop genre. But yeah, like I said, it's such a good album with some amazing producing, and it's really sort of again quite jazzy, because a lot of the producers like to like Q-Tip and Pete Rock sort of do a lot of jazzy stuff. You know, Pete Rock with CL Smooth, They Reminisce Over You, an amazing jazz sample, and then basically all of Tribe Called Quest songs are basically jazz. So yeah, jazz plays a big part in this album, and if you are a jazz fan and you like listening to jazz and you want to get into a little bit of rap, then this is alongside, you know, The Low End Theory is a perfect way to get into rap. So yeah, definitely give this album a listen. If you're wondering what this is right here, this is a thing that that holds my records. I also have records up there, which is held up with these. If you want to get these, then I'll put the link in the description. If you also want to like see my whole record display up there and see how I safely display my records, also that frame with the chronicing, then click up there. There is my how to display your record safely video. So please check that out. And also, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see some more album reviews or more just videos in general, just let me know in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and turn on the post notifications so you know when my videos come out. Illmatic by Nas, 10 out of 10 album, one of the best of all time. Go listen to it, and I'll see you in the next one.